Out in Terry, Montana, and I got something to tell you. Let's talk about what happened with the Joint Chiefs. They released a statement recognizing that Joe Biden will be the 46th president and the next commander in chief, and condemning what happened at the Capitol. Let's use logic, folks. Let's use some logic. And check us out over at restorationgroup.org for the imminent relaunch of the Rift Online Church. And hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell. But anyhow, let's use some logic here. These are the Joint Chiefs of Staff. For those of you who don't know what that means, they are the top commanders of each branch of the military. The top general of the Army, the top general of the Marine Corps, the highest admiral, whatever it is in the Navy, the highest general in the Air Force, the highest general in the Space Force. Now you get what I'm saying. These are the top brass of the military. Do you really think that they actually sincerely believe that what happened at the Capitol was not staged? Do you really think they think that that a bunch of unarmed people could successfully storm a building that has snipers? These guys command the people to train those snipers. You really think that they believe that those guys got in there unassisted without inside help? You really think they didn't watch the videos? You really think they have less situational awareness of this than me? You think they don't know that when those people were let through, when the police opened the barricades to wave them in, Alex Jones wasn't there yet? That started, I think, even before Trump had finished his speech. You think they don't know that? So there's only really two possibilities here. But we'll get that into that in a second. These are not just military men. These are the top commanders. You think they don't know military tactics? You think they can't recognize a staged storming? They know how to storm something. Some of them are combat veterans. Like the Secretary of Defense is a legit combat veteran. Chris Miller is a Green Beret. That man's seen combat. That man has assaulted places. That man has engaged in storming an objective. You think he can't tell that was a bunch of bullcrap? You really think they believe that that was real? And that Trump was behind it? That Trump incited that? You really think that that's what they believe? There's no way they believe that. If I was a U.S. Marine, I didn't serve very long. My rank was E5 or officer candidate. You really, if I can figure this out, and I know enough about tactics and body language, and I analyze those videos, do you really think that the top military minds in the country couldn't see past the bullcrap? You really think that? No way. So that leaves us with two possibilities. One, this is a scary one, that the Joint Chiefs of Staff have betrayed all of us. That's one possibility, that they know this thing was fake and they don't care, and that they've betrayed us. The other possibility is that they are engaging in tactical deception, and they're going to bring the hammer down on Biden sometime between now and the 20th, maybe even on the 20th. Because let me help you out here about something called the Constitution. It doesn't, if we're going to go with what the Constitution actually says, see, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It doesn't, as The Rock would put it, it doesn't matter if they choose to ignore it. It doesn't matter if they certify the election anyway. Do you know that they committed a crime by certifying the electoral votes? Because they got the intel reports. I know this. You think Congress doesn't know this? They knowingly certify fraudulent electors. There's no way they believe otherwise. According to the Constitution, each state in each state, according to the Constitution, the time, place, and manner in which the elections are run is determined only by the legislatures. So when governors change rules, when Pennsylvania changes election laws without changing their constitution, because in Pennsylvania you have to have a constitutional amendment to change the rules for elections. If you don't do that, you broke the law. So under the supreme law of the land, even if they certify that Joe Biden is not legitimately the president, it's illegal. So unless the Joint Chiefs of Staff have completely betrayed us, they're going to bring the hammer down. They could even let him be sworn in, and it doesn't matter. He's still not the president of the United States, not according to the Constitution. Now, there's a reason why I'm bringing that up. If we're going to be strict constitutionalists here, and remember, the Constitution does not give you your rights. It is a document that records, enumerates your rights and the limitations of the government's powers in defense of those rights. Now, all these men took an oath, the same oath that the president takes. What is his first duty? I took that oath. I, Samuel Medina, do solemnly swear to support and defend Congress. Nope, that ain't it. To support and defend the Supreme Court, support and defend the legislatures. No, that's not what it says. It's I, Samuel Medina, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this oath willingly, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully execute the duties of the office I'm about to undertake. Every person on the Joint Chiefs of Staff has taken that oath. Every person in the military takes that oath. The president took that oath. The very first duty of the president of the United States and all those generals is to support and defend the Constitution. So if Congress certifies an election contrary to what the Constitution says, their oath requires them to bring the hammer down. You think they don't have the intel reports that Biden's connected to China? I mean, think about it. Reddit has the intel. People all over the internet have been talking about it. You think, goodness, the information we've got is probably a drop in the bucket compared to what they know. Think about that. So unless the Joint Chiefs have betrayed us all, the hammer is going to come down. Trump is well within his authority. In fact, it is his duty to have Joe Biden arrested for treason. So stop worrying. All you prophets out there are apologizing, saying, oh, I got it wrong. You're trying to persuade the church to give up. Now, I'm not saying God told me this. I'm going with what the Constitution actually says. So there's only two possibilities. They're either engaging in tactical deception because they're going to bring the hammer down on everybody, or they've betrayed us all. Either way, you need to trust God. A lot of these prophets are saying, oh, this is happening because the church hasn't repented, because the church made an idol out of Trump. You're idolizing Trump. These are the same preachers that want you to kiss their ass every second of the day. Same preachers who want you to call their wife first lady when she's not first of anything. Same preachers who want you to call them bishop, archbishop, call their wife the elect lady. Or they call themselves master prophet, major prophet, chief apostle. This is the same church leadership that is essentially a cult of personality in just about every single charismatic ministry. I can't think of one charismatic ministry that isn't a cult of personality. Have you noticed they don't call their ministries Jesus ministry? Christ, the last ministry, major ministry I ever heard of that did not use the name of the preacher in the ministry. It was Ministerio Cristo Viene out of Puerto Rico. Christ is coming ministry. Everybody else, they named their ministry after themselves. Those people are telling you you are engaging in idolatry. The same people, you can't question them. You can't say the pastor's wrong. You can't even point out that they're preaching something that isn't true because they're touching the Lord's anointed. And they've placed themselves above accountability. That person's telling you you're engaging in idolatry. Newsflash, folks, the whole church has been engaging in idolatry with regard to church leadership for decades. And depending which parts of the church or the presumable church you want to refer to, some for centuries. And the Pope better now open his mouth and say that the Pope ain't a man of God anyway, but he better not open his mouth and say that people have been idolizing Trump, because the Catholic Church doctrine says that everything the Pope says supersedes anything God has ever said or ever will say. That's blasphemous as well as being idolatrous. These guys are telling you you're idolizing Trump. You know what the real problem was? They're jealous. The real problem is they didn't like people's admiration of Trump. They didn't like how this real estate mogul from New York was exposing more evil than they were. They didn't like how when Trump says things, they come true. When he said they were spying on him, he was right. When he said the FBI was crooked, he was right. When he said the CIA was crooked, he was right. When he said that the media was crooked, he was right. When he said big tech was getting too much power and they were going to start censoring people and shutting people down. Do you know what they did to the CEO of Parler? He's in hiding right now. People have been trying to kill him. His banks have been closing his accounts for running a free speech platform, for not censoring people the way Facebook does to you, for not censoring people the way Twitter does. Yeah, you're right. Trump won by a lot. I hope the truth eventually comes out, but I believe that Trump even won California. I know California went red. I'm here in Montana. I was living in Canada for 11 years. I left New Brunswick and drove here. I drove 2,700 miles. I saw maybe 5 Biden signs. 5. And I drove through Maine. I drove through Massachusetts. I drove through upstate New York. Liberal strongholds. 2,700 miles and I see 5 Biden signs. I can't tell you how many Trump signs I saw. Lots. I'd be surprised if Biden got 30 million votes. Why do you think when his people show up, they got to get paid to show up? Dude can barely get 1,000 people on a live stream, and that's part of people working for him. That guy didn't get 80 million votes. Otherwise, there would have been a whole lot of Biden supporters at that last Trump rally. Think about that. So it's not even whether Trump won or not is not even up for discussion. Why do you think the Supreme Court wouldn't take the case? Not because they didn't have merit, because they didn't want to. They didn't want to review the evidence, and they also know about a legal precedent of United States versus Throckmorton, and the decision that the Supreme Court made in that case. It was a case of election fraud. That fraud vitiates everything. In plain terms, what that means is if you are a candidate in an election and you commit any fraud at all, you lose. Even if you would have won without the fraud, even if the amount of fraud would not have changed the outcome, you still lose because you cheated. You think they don't know that precedent? They didn't want to look at the evidence. They didn't want to take the case because they know that if we go by law, if we go by precedent, Trump wins. You got a chief Supreme Court justice who said that he was going to. I'll do everything I can to make sure that mother effer isn't reelected. Think he was being objective, unbiased? Please. But stop being scared, stop being worried, stop being depressed. Regardless of the outcome, Jesus is Lord. Regardless of the outcome, God is still on the throne. And I really don't think Biden's going to serve as president. I'm not saying God told me that. I'm just using logic and reason that unless the Joint Chiefs of Staff haven't completely betrayed us and the Constitution, Biden might get sworn in, but Biden is going to get the death penalty for treason. And a whole lot of other people are going down. It's not a matter of evidence. There's mountains of evidence. They're just saying they don't care about the evidence. Trust God's plan. Bro Sam signing out.